Okay, it's 2 o'clock. I'll call this meeting of October the 6th, 2020, legislative meeting to order. First, I'll be looking for a motion to accept the agenda. Councilor Lemko, is there any changes to the agenda? Seeing no hands in the air, all those in favor? Carried. Next up is the minutes of our last regular meeting. Councilor Berry moves so. Okay, is there any errors or omission within those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. So first up, economic development. Tom Kemp. Tom, are you ready to go?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Been a very interesting and active month since last time I was here. Number of initiatives that we're undertaking, a number of things that we're continuing on. So just last week we had our Economic Development Advisory Board meeting, well attended and good group. At that we discussed a number of new initiatives. So several of the ones that we are discussing was a program called Shop Here. And that program is actually was started in Ontario and then now is being carried out into the West, and Medicine Hat recently did it. Michelle Henderson from the Chamber is the one that made us aware of it. So we brought her in on the conversation. And in a nutshell, what it is, it's an organization to assist small businesses, especially in the time of COVID, to go through the process of getting their goods and services listed online. So for sale online. So they utilize Shopify, which is kind of a smaller version than Amazon. But what they'll do is they'll work with the businesses, even if they don't have a background in computers or in programs or anything like that. And they assign a student. Right now it's from a student from Ontario, but they're looking at trying to include some of the Western universities in it right now. Medicine Hat was the first one in Western Canada to utilize this program. And what it is it covers 3/4 of the cost of setting this up online. So they provide a student for up to 30 businesses that can work with this student to basically get a website and a shopping site available for that business and allow them to sell their goods or their services online. So it looked like a fantastic program. The total cost of the program is covered. 3/4 of it is covered by a federal grant. And then the last quarter is covered by usually the municipalities or the businesses, depending on how they work it out. So the cost to have 30 businesses registered is only $7,500. And we've talked to Community Futures and to the Chamber of Commerce in town, and they've agreed to split that 3 ways and to promote it 3 ways. So we can waive the fees for small businesses in order to do this. What they'll do is they'll go right in and do everything necessary to get their products and services listed online. They'll get them started, and it includes 3 free months on Shopify. And then after that period of time, if they're finding some success, they would continue on there and pay a small fee. I believe the fee is either $40 for a full package with Shopify per month, or I believe it was $15 if they want a reduced package. But it's very reasonable cost. But the thing is that they help them to get it set up and get their stuff online. So it's a huge benefit to smaller businesses that don't maybe have the technology or the expertise to do that. And so Community Futures and Chamber are very excited about the program. We're very excited about the program. We talked about it at our economic development meeting, and the consensus around the table was very strong support for it as well. So we're looking at initiating that almost immediately here. We're getting more information on it right now. One of the concerns that was brought up is what if we don't find 30, but Medicine Hat mentioned that they worked out agreements with Brooks. And then when that was very successful, they also have an agreement with Drumheller. And so if they can't fill the full 30, they'll fill some, and then Drumheller or Brooks fill some. And those municipalities are responsible for the costs associated with their businesses going online. So we are going to be promoting that very shortly as soon as we've got all the details figured out. And we're certainly encouraging any businesses that are interested in this to either contact myself or Community Futures with Brad Guerra or Kathy, or the Chamber of Commerce with Michelle. And we'll hopefully have more information on that very, very shortly here. So great program, I think, and great opportunity for businesses in Vegreville to get online. Again, it's primarily to help out a lot of businesses that are involved with COVID right now because of the number of shoppers are down. Obviously, a lot of businesses are hurting right now. So it gives them an opportunity to reach literally a worldwide audience with their products and services now. In addition to that, we are working with a company that wants to have a hemp workshop in Vegreville. So myself and our town manager, Cliff, just had a meeting with some representatives from Innotech, and we're working out the details. Tentatively, we've picked November 19th as the date in the afternoon, probably from around 1:30 to 4:30. We still haven't finalized the speakers or what have you, but it obviously depends on availability of some of the speakers. So that hemp workshop has the intent of, first of all, informing people on that are maybe concerned or interested in growing hemp as a cash crop for farmers or producers. So answering a lot of the questions they might have as to where do they obtain seed, what's the gestation period, what crop rotations are involved, whether they need licensing from Health Canada or not, and plus things like, when do you harvest it, what equipment you need to harvest it, what possible outlets they have for sales and transportation of it. So try and answer as many questions as possible with regards to how to grow it and to add it to their rotation. I think everybody here is aware that we have been looking at hemp for a number of years now in Vegreville, and this is a great opportunity to hopefully work with some producers to get that crop grown. And if crops here, then business and industry generally tend to follow where the production is. So we're obviously going to be approaching surrounding municipalities like Minburn, obviously, but Lamont County and some of the other counties in the region, as they're not going to grow a lot of it in Vegreville. Let's not kid ourselves. But we're certainly trying to encourage the growth in the area on that side and the industry to locate in our nice new park that we've gotten funding for, and the timing fits very nicely with that as well. So tentatively, we're going to again do some serious marketing with this, but it's tentatively set for November 19th from 1:30 to 4:30. We're going to be, I've already talked to Bob Bezpalko with Hub. They're going to be promoting it. Innotech will promote it through their sites. Canadian Hemp Trade Alliance, which is the National Hemp Association, is going to promote it on their site. And then, of course, we're going to utilize our social media outlets, as well as the Chamber and Community Futures have also agreed to promote this, this event as well. So we're going to get some good reach out there, and hopefully it will be a very successful workshop. In addition to that, we are just winding down our Open in Vegreville campaign. We've just actually put a couple new videos up, and we've got a couple more to come. We taped some videos, but apparently the videotape picks up winds sound pretty major, so we're gonna have to redo a couple of videos that we've already shot. But that's just winding down. That campaign is set to end in just over a week now, on the 13th. And we've had some really good feedback as to the success of that. We got some good feedback from a number of people on our committee. we did a plaque presentation with the mayor and the head of our economic development board to both the Vitos. That was for 30 years, and Vague News Advertiser, that was for 50 years. So good success with that. Got some, recognized some very good businesses that have been here a long, long time in Vegreville and been huge community supporters. So that was good. Had a regional economic development meeting that I attended virtually, of course. Don't do a lot of meetings in person anymore. Had a couple of conversations with Travis Dahl. For those that don't know, his grandfather owns the CPC building. And also for those that don't know, they've listed that with Ritchie Brothers Auction. It's an unreserved public auction, putting up for sale on December 8th. So if you know anybody that's interested in looking at that building, it is going up for auction on the 8th, and unreserved means unreserved. Apparently high bidder gets it that day. So I was just on the website actually just before I got here, and that's the terms of it. So it may be changing hands here within a couple of months. So bit of an end of an era, unfortunately, for Vegreville there. We are just starting up our general awareness campaign. So that is basically starting right away here. We're using a social media blitz, obviously our own social media, but we're doing marketing and advertising on Facebook, Google, and Spotify. We had originally had 5 areas identified, which was the Lloydminster Vermilion area, Edmonton and region, Red Deer and region, Calgary and region, and Lethbridge and region. In talking with our marketing specialists, they feel, as I initially did, that we should focus more of our attention on Red Deer North. So we're going to be readjusting some of our budget there and focusing more on the Edmonton region and just to a lesser extent the Red Deer and Lloydminster regions. So that is has got a 2-pronged focus. About 80% of the ads are going to be focused on business attractions. So we're focusing on the areas that were identified in our diversification strategy. So we're looking at value-added agriculture. We're looking at oil and gas, both servicing and manufacturing. We're looking at the professional, scientific, and technical field. And then we're looking at the cannabis sector, primarily hemp, but we're certainly not going to be ignoring marijuana if opportunities present themselves there as well. But we are focusing on the hemp side of that as well. Had my initial budget meeting with Cliff earlier this week, and we're working on a draft to be completed by the end of this week. Obviously, there's a lot of questions in the air with COVID. We still don't know what we're going to be looking at in the future. So budgeting is a little more interesting this year than normal, but we'll work our way through it. Finally, we launched our microsite on September 14th. That's the Choose Vegreville. We're getting quite a few hits on it, and we're getting lots of very positive feedback. We announced both the receiving and the grants for our funding for Southeast 617 on social media, and I put that on my social media as well as announcing the microsite, and we've gotten good hits on both of those. So over 5,000 views on both between the town site and my site for both of those announcements, and overwhelmingly positive responses from people in our reach. So and then I mentioned it, but we met with the chamber about a number of issues, including we're looking at what's going on with the Pasanka and that sort of thing, and promotion for that, as well as, like I said, the hemp workshop as Shop Here program. So we're almost constantly in conversation with the chamber. So, and that pretty much sums up the month that we've had.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Anybody have any questions? Okay, this Shop Here, what will your role be? What will the role of your department be in this Shop Here?
Well, we haven't determined that for sure yet, because again, it was thrust on us just last week. We found out about it. We just got the information late last week with regards to it, but we certainly will be working with businesses and obviously with the Chamber and Community Futures. We'll be approaching businesses with what it all entails and the fact that it won't cost businesses any money. I think that's one of the keys here is it doesn't cost anything to try it for 3 months. And they don't do a lot of the work. Most of the work is being done by this student out of, it's actually out of York University in Toronto. And so it gives them an opportunity to potentially sell their stuff online. We're going to be mostly just, we sign the contract, we work out the terms, which is, like I said, they've done this all over Ontario. So it's fairly straight contract. It just says, basically we get up to 30 businesses for $7,500 and this is what they provide. And then we basically recruit whichever business wants to, just signs up, and then we just get them in contact with the student and they work it out there. So we're the liaison between the businesses and the students and the program itself, and ourselves and Community Futures and the Chamber will be, we don't know if all 3 of us can sign as partners or whether there has to be one to take the lead, and we'll work that out. But Community Futures was the lead in Medicine Hat. So it may be they'll be the lead ones on the contract and the 2 of us, but the maximum commitment for each of us on the initial one is just $2,500. And then, I mean, we're talking about what happens if more than 30 are interested. That would be a great problem to have, because it means a lot of businesses are getting involved and interested in this. And if we can subscribe again, so that's what happened with Medicine Hat, is they initially had, I think it was 70 sign up. So they did 60 themselves, and then they joined in with Brooks, and they did I think 15, and Brooks did 15, and then they still had more interested, and that's when they signed with Drumheller, and Drumheller took some and they took some again. So if it's really well subscribed and more than 30 are in Vegreville are interested, then we can work with Viking or Camrose or Two Hills or Lamont or any Mundare, any communities within range of us, and just say, you take 10 or 15 and we'll take 10 or 15, and off we go to the races. So we're facilitating that, and we'll be, so it's great because it fits in with our business strategy, which is business visitations. Anyhow, I've talked to a lot of businesses in town, and this will give me access to even more, because it's a great reason to go in and talk to a business. Now, there is a caveat on the businesses. They won't allow major chains, obviously, and larger corporations to do this. So I think right now their limit is 10 employees, unless it's a non-chain restaurant. Now, and I think they allow up to 25 employees. So the idea is for the little guy, for the small business on Main Street type of business that can go and do this, that, you know, obviously the Walmarts and the Canadian Tires and the Mark's Work warehouses of the world have their own marketing methods and techniques. So this is not meant for the big guys. This is meant for small businesses primarily.
Just one more question about that. So is the idea then that they just help launch businesses to be able to do online, or is the idea that they have one site that's like a Vegreville shop here, and then all the businesses that are online would be under one site? And then the second part to that is, where would it be? Would it be like on a Google, or would it be like, how would they find the online?
Okay, it's actually on Shopify, which is so it would be, they would be listed under whatever their categories they choose to be listed under Shopify. And then it's a global audience. If somebody from Japan wants to order something from Main Street, Vegreville, they can order it online, and they just work out the shipping details. So the beauty of it is not only does it include your fee for Shopify for the first 3 months, they have agreements with a number of other companies, including Google, I think is one of the sponsors. So you can take Google Ads out, for example, at a reduced cost for the first 3 months. They have partnerships with shippers like the FedExes and the Perlators or whatever of the world. So they've got discounts for people that are going to be shipping outside of their area. So it's actually a really good supportive program. They've thought of a lot of the aspects of that to try and make it as easy as possible. Because obviously Shopify wants them to stay on, because that way they make some money and the client makes money. So they want successes. They want companies that are very successful and want to stay with the program because it benefits everybody that way. So it's a really well thought out program. The presentation was interesting, and it's really well thought out.
Okay, any other questions? Councilor Riddick.
Not as a question, but just as a clarification. I think this is a great way to be able to bring some of our businesses into the digital world. When we did business visitations, I think that was 3 years ago. That was one of the things that they identified as a need that they had, was being able to learn more about their digital profile if they had one, and be able to market. So this is going to be able to launch some of that facility. And the person that did the presentation that is working in Medicine Hat has hired a digital innovation specialist too, and is preparing modules. So the idea, and some of the attendees of our meeting were concerned too, that the first 3 months are great, and then what? But this program is designed to build 30 websites in 3 months. So they blast them out, and they become so popular that even things like their food bank are signing up for a digital presence as well, to be able to offer not social services, but some of the service club organizations to be able to offer their platform. So they're still able to reach their people, because that's always a challenge, is being able to go online. So this was a great presentation. Really glad that the Chamber brought it forward to us, and the board was very excited. Very nominal fee and really big impact. And this digital Main Street idea, I think already has 6,000 businesses in Toronto online, and in the Medicine Hat area is already up to 1,600 businesses. So the possibilities are really great, and the partnership with Chamber and Community Futures is exciting.
Okay, well, look forward to see how that rolls out, and see some of these smaller businesses in town selling on the web. That'd be good if they can get there. So another question regarding your workshop. Who are you going to be targeting?
Very good question, sir. Yeah, our target primarily is going to be farmers and producers, but we're also looking at inviting potential investors for the business. So they will have an opportunity to not just talk to producers and talk contracts and what have you, but also say there's an investment opportunity here as well. And so we're going to be targeting them, and we're probably going to be including some of the downstream people. For example, Biocomposites Group out of Drayton Valley with Dan Medlung, or Chrome Tech could potentially attend as well, and learn a little bit more about it, but also have some contact with some people that way, and just show that there is a market for this. It doesn't just end here. There's a reason why hemp is starting to become popular. So the two primary targets, though, are definitely producers, mostly farmers, like I mentioned, and then anybody that's interested in potentially investing.
So we'll be contacting some growers personally and inviting them.
Yeah, we've got a commitment from Minotech to, as you know, both Jan and Byron have a number of contacts. They're going to be reaching out, and then we'll use all the resources that I mentioned. We're going to be doing that, and we'll probably be taking out. Well, we got to work out the details, but we'll probably be doing some actual media, like our radio station or Vague News Advertiser, for promoting it as well.
Okay, good. Any other questions? Well, thank you for your time today, and hopefully some of these initiatives will take off and get things rolling around here. So thank you very much. Next up, we have Mr. Phil Rowe.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a couple of letters here addressed to Town Council. First one, dated September 30th, to Town Council on behalf of the Heather Curling Club, the Executive Board. has made a difficult decision to cancel the 2021 curling season. After a long review and discussion, we have come to the conclusion, mostly due to our financial situation and the changes due to the pandemic and the curling game, we will not be able to operate our curling season. Your understanding is greatly appreciated, and that's signed by Anita Cuffert and Dwight Hopper, the president and vice president.
Okay, I'll take a motion to receive and file that. Councilor Waller, thank you very much. No? All right. We'll wait till a different meeting, dude. Okay, thank you, Phil. Read your next one.
Dated October 5th to Town Council. To all our fans in the Vegreville community, today we're officially announcing the difficult decision that the Vegreville Junior B Rangers will be taking a one-year leave of absence from the Northeast Junior B Hockey League for the 2020-2021 season. This was a very difficult decision, but due to COVID-19 pandemic and all the restrictions that come with this pandemic, it is not financially or operationally viable for us to operate this season. We hope to see you all next year. Stay safe and healthy. And that's signed by Lane Stephan, Vice President of the Vegreville Junior B Hockey Club.
Okay, thank you very much. Any thoughts on that? Go ahead, Councilor Waters.
Just want to say it's very unfortunate to be receiving these letters, but with everything that's going on, it probably isn't much of a surprise. My question, I guess, to Phil, to Rector, any word as to where we're going to be putting the pickleballers with their request? Was the library a viable option, or we haven't gone that far yet?
At this time, actually, we've contacted pickleballers and the seniors walkers, the Legacy for Health, and we're going to be providing them with the multiplex facility to use instead of the library at this point until we figure out a way that we can viably use the library.
Okay, thank you.
That was actually along the lines, I'm sure we're all disappointed, but it's understandable that these two organizations can't run this year. But I wondered what that meant to the use of those buildings and what that meant for us overall. So I'm assuming that if there's space at the arena, that there would be other user groups that might be interested in assuming that time. But it sounds like there'll be a little bit of a plan to be able to use some of that space because it's a big building. And if we're not putting ice in, then that changes some of our costs for the year, but hopefully we can use it for other operations. So I don't know what the implications to the arena would be then. If you've got any other thoughts on that.
The arena time will, some of it will be picked up by minor hockey. The rest, if there is user groups that want to use it, will be available, but I believe minor hockey will be picking up some of it. As for the multiplex, there'll also be the home business trade show will be hosted in there. It'll be open to any business trade shows around the Christmas region as well. So we're Mike Facilities, myself are working at making contact with people to see who could use it that might have used the library facility previously and get them signed up at the multiplex for now.
Okay, well, I guess, there'll be some extra ice time available and hopefully the back minor hockey will be using one day less, I guess, but as a curler, I know it's another year off is not good, but we all understand why this has to be, so we'll just keep moving forward. Thank you, Phil. Dale, you're up next.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have correspondence from Christy Walters from WGS Canada. I'll read it to you. It's a short note. Dear Council, I'm writing this letter to ask that you consider waiving the business license fee for Kyle Gauvin. Kyle is a semi-independent adult who resides in one of our homes in Vegreville. He is supported by WGS with his activities of daily living and to engage and participate in employment and recreational activities. This client is on a tight budget and has little extra per month to live on. His disposable income is very low, and so I'm requesting for this council to consider waiving this fee so that Kyle can offer his services as for nominal fees for snow shoveling, lawn mowing, computer tech support, as well as teaching others, such as seniors, how to set up and maintain their electronic devices. Thank you for your time and consideration. And that was addressed to town council.
Hey, any thoughts? Councilor Project.
I just have a couple of questions. How much of what is the total value of the fee that we're being requested to waive?
Well, waiving the business license would be home occupation, so it would be $150.
The letter states that the reason that they're asking our consideration in this matter is that he doesn't make a lot of money in this business. I'm sure there's a few other home businesses that aren't making a ton of money neither, so. Go ahead, Bill.
Currently, the business license bylaw will only exempt anybody that's a registered professional. So it'd be your dentist, your optometrists, chartered accountants. It exempts them for business license when they do services for people. But as soon as an optometrist then will want to sell glasses, or a drugstore pharmacist will sell products, it becomes retail, and then they require a business license.
Councilor Roy.
I'm just curious, though, we do have, I understand this is a slightly different situation, but we do have several other people operating businesses with snow removal and grass cutting. Are you aware if there are business licenses out to those individuals?
The ones that we are aware of do have a business license, even if it be seasonal, but they're still a business license.
Well, I don't know that we've ever been asked this before. Reading in between the lines, it isn't abundantly clear here, but the first sentence or second sentence refers to the fact that Kyle is a semi-independent adult. So I think some of the considerations, we're all familiar with Kyle, that the considerations might be more unwritten than what is laid out here. I would be curious, what do other municipalities do in this situation? We can't be the only ones that are looking at supporting not just home occupations, but individuals that have enhanced need for assistance in different ways. And so I think that's why we're being asked for that. It's not simply just as it's written in this letter, it's because of other considerations that they might be asking. So do you have another example?
I do not have another example, no.
Anybody else? Councilor Barrett.
I guess my only concern on this is how far does this open the door for additional people asking for us to exempt the fees for a license that we have incorporated into our business plan. I don't think we give exemptions to business licenses. I'm just wondering whether this is a precedent we want to set or not.
It is a bit of a unique situation for sure. Kyle is semi-independent. Well, when we made those bylaws regarding business license, we've never seen this as part of one of the options on it and stuff. So maybe you'll all want to take a little bit of time and consider this and bring it back to our next council meeting. Maybe do a little research on it or something. So maybe that's what we'll do. We'll have this letter again at our next council meeting, and we'll make the decision then. Okay, thank you. What do you got next, Dale?
Next is correspondence from Michelle Henderson. It is regarding a road closure request for a Halloween function that's being planned by the chamber. It says, "Hi Dale, I'm requesting that the road be closed on Saturday, October 31st from 1 till 9 p.m. The event is going to be a Halloween theme. which will enable the kids to trick or treat down the streets for a safe evening. The area needed is 50th Street from 50th Ave to 52nd Ave, as well as 51st Ave from 50th Street to 49th. I hope that I have the roads correctly identified. Basically, I would like it closed down by Hair Wizard to Ziegler's, and then it would be from Chin's to the Co-op store. She would also like to borrow the town's barricades, have them dropped off so they can set them up, and then the town staff would come back and pick them up and haul them away when they were finished. There will be an RCD coming to the next council meeting, the regular scheduled council meeting, as a formal request, because council must formally approve all road closures in our community.
Hey, thank you, Dale. I know that, go ahead, Councillor Berry.
Yeah, I just have a question. Do we normally then speak to the businesses along that area as to how they feel about having the road closure at that time period?
Yeah, we'll be in touch with Michelle between now and the council meeting, so I can have more information for you on that.
I mean, I totally support the concept of doing a Halloween down there. I just want to know that businesses are on board with it. Thank you.
Yep, can do.
So we're not just going to take it for granted that the chamber reached out. We're going to let them know, the other businesses, that this is what's moving forward there.
I'll confirm with the chamber that they have reached out.
I know that we said we were going to support this endeavor by the chamber, and yet again another option for Halloween night. So, okay, well, see at this at the next council meeting. Next up is Paul Casey, who is not here today. So Cliff Craig will be taking on these roles today. Oh, okay.
Okay. So the first item is the next section is the AUMA Police Advisory Board Survey. So we have included this in your package so that AUMA has requested that this be completed by council members. And if you could forward those into your responses into Sandra, we'll send in a combined or aggregate survey. AUMA have requested one survey per municipality, but they wanted it completed by council. So, and this is to do with the interim Alberta Police Advisory Board is asking Alberta municipalities to complete a survey to inform them on board recommendations for 2021 to 22 provincial policing priorities and the buildup of provincial police service. So we've included the email from AUMA as well as the survey. So if the answers could be, or your responses could be forwarded into Sandra, then we will send in a combined response from Town of Vegreville.
Okay. Any questions on that? Councillor Berry.
Yeah, I was just noticing though that in their paragraph, they say completing the survey as a council if suggested when possible. Would council prefer to do this on a consensus basis and prepare just one form, or do it independently and then have it amalgamated?
Councillor Rudick.
Yeah, just as a follow-up, I think if it's possible, just because it is a SurveyMonkey form, it would probably faster to do it in a consensus format. I don't know if we have time to do that, but yeah.
Correct. It says, please provide only one response per municipality. So that's why we had included this here. So.
Okay, maybe we'll do it at the end of this meeting. I don't know how long it's going to take.
There's just 3 minutes.
Okay. Did you have a comment, Councilor Wolf?
Just that, you know, anytime this stuff comes up, I was just gonna say that I think it is really important that we make sure we do get our voice in there, because we've advocated for some changes. I know that it's not popular with all municipalities, especially sometimes with the municipalities that belong to RMA who weren't used to some of these changes. And I just think that it's important that as we see some changes, we have to make sure that we're also always putting our voice back in. You know, Vegreville is in a unique situation, which I think is very interesting. I've had some conversations just over this last weekend, and policing came up. And the people I was speaking with didn't understand how Vegreville was impacted with some past policing. They weren't really aware of the fact, you know, that our taxpayer dollars from our residents end up making up, you know, things like the infrastructure and the building. And there's a lot of people that don't understand that. So I just think that anytime we have a chance to get our voice on any part of the policing, it's just a really good thing.
Okay, well, if this meeting gets through quick enough, we get through a round table, maybe we'll just answer these questions really quick. Okay.
Okay, it's a tax reassessment request. It's actually a property tax adjustment for 4338 49A Street. It's from Roman Zubritsky. I'm writing to you all today on behalf of my mother. Many of you may not know that earlier this year, my mother's residence at the above address was the unfortunate target of burglars and an arsonist on April 14, 2020. Now, it wasn't my mother's primary residence. She unfortunately could not be alone at home after my father passed away, and is a current resident at Heritage House. However, it is her refuge place to spend a few days a week with all her possessions that she simply didn't have room for in the residence. She lost many memories and priceless Ukrainian artifacts to this senseless vandalism. For her, it was one, of course, devastating. To make matters worse, because of the restrictions with COVID precautions, she was unable to leave Heritage House to have closure or to see what her possessions are now beyond rescue for any sort of salvage. It was only during the cleanup of this now badly damaged home that I was informed by my mother that she was not carrying any insurance on the property, as recommended by her agent due to it being vacant. For her, this has been a total financial loss. I proceeded to hire local contractors to clean up and clear the lot so that the property would not be such an eyesore for the neighbors and limit the dangers of further vandalism. This was completed by June 2020, and of course, all at my mother's expense. I came to the town office and asked for help with the taxes being assessed this year, and the front office staff said there was nothing they could do. They forwarded me on to the tax assessor, who got back to me at my request for reassessment, which he stated there was again nothing that he could do, and instructed me to approach town council with the request for relief. So now finally I ask if there's any way we could reassess the taxes. I realized for the first half of the year would be reassessed as a full residence, which is fine. However, for the last half as an empty lot, which it is. I'm hoping for a little relief in financial burden for my mother. Thank you for your time and attention. Sincerely, Roman Zubritsky.
Hey, does anybody have any comments on the letter? Okay, well, I myself do. What they're asking for is that the first half of the year would be assessed as the property, what it was assessed at in the second half as an empty lot. So this is something that the council we can do as a council. We, however, would have to look at the school allocation no matter what, because the assessment is until the 31st, December 31st. So if we were to waive the full taxes, which they have paid for the whole year, they're looking for a credit for next year, that we'd have to relieve the school allocation in there no matter what our decision was. Councilor Rudick.
So that was my question. I'm not sure what the logistics are. I'm assuming Fort McMurray or Slave Lake with the fire or flood, they would have had many, many examples of a structure that's no longer existing. So is that what the legislation states, that we have the power to make that decision?
As far as an assessment appeal, because this occurred prior to the assessment appeal, the date that the property was assessed would have been effective December 31st of 2019. So at that point, there was a structure on the house, or there was a structure on the lot. What council can do in the Municipal Government Act is cancel or defer any portion of a tax. Not the reassessment will occur in 2020, which will affect the 2021 assessment or assessment for taxes in 2021.
Go ahead, Councillor.
And as follow-up, is it the recommendation that, so this would naturally catch up to itself a year later, but is it the recommendation of administration for us to consider facilitating the quicker mediating financial impact of that, or what's the recommendation?
Okay, to answer the first part of your comment is the assessment for the 2021 taxes will be a vacant lot. Okay, so yes, it will catch up next year. In my tenure with the town, there has only been one adjustment for taxes on a property due to a fire or devastation like this. And there's been more than one residential fire or even business fire in the community in the 15 years I've been here. But I'm only aware of one adjustment. So.
And if you seen anybody else ask for an adjustment?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Councillor Berry.
I think the circumstances here are quite a bit more unique because there's not an opportunity to rebuild the structure so that it would resume being taxed as a lot and structure a house on it. So I think that's one of the reasons that they're asking for this. And the timing is such that they could probably have been informed that they could have done a complaint form and asked for a reassessment on the taxes in that fashion. The unfortunate thing is that the act itself clearly does give the ability to a municipality to do a supplemental tax assessment when a house is completed in the middle of the year and therefore taxed for more. But the legislation actually remains silent on a situation of when a house is destroyed. And that's the unfortunate thing, because I view that to be somewhat not fair, and it's not just. I think that we should ourselves, in my opinion, on this set of circumstances, look at rectifying that by giving an exemption to the taxes for that portion of the year.
And that is the unique situation about this. Typically, when there's a fire and someone's residence is destroyed, the residence, they would rebuild. They wouldn't be looking to have an empty lot. But Melita's situation is she's not moving home. She had no insurance to replace the home with or anything like that. So, and again, it's within the Municipal Government Act for us to make this answer yes to this, but it would have to be done at a council meeting. And like I said, they've already paid the taxes. So it would be a credit towards next year's taxes on the second half of this year, notwithstanding the school allocation. So we'll bring this forward at the next council meeting.
Yes, we will.
And guys, and anybody else, anything else they want to say on this matter right now? Go ahead, Councillor Waters.
I don't know when the fire was. Did that encompass the full last half of the year?
It was in May.
It was in May.
April 14th.
Oh, they drove that was down.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And you've got one more here, Cliff.
Okay. This is a letter from Dee Palachuk of the Community Association for Lasting Success, also known as PALS. So on behalf of, good afternoon, Mayor McPhee. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Community Association for Lasting Success, I am reaching out to town councilors to inquire if there would be any interest in joining the CALS board. CALS is now recruiting board members for the 2020-2021 program year. A town councilor would provide a valuable perspective to the Board of Directors. A brief overview of CALS. CALS offers programs and services that support families and enhance the development and well-being of children and youth within the community of Vegreville and surrounding areas. CALS programming is driven by the belief that all children should have access to a broad range of social experiences and educational opportunities to assist them in reaching their development potential. We also believe that each child's cognitive and social potential is best supported when we also build the capacities and resilience of those who care for them. CALS programs provide an in-between social space, offering children and their parents, caregivers, new experiences, relationships, and opportunities for learning outside of the normal schooling. So current programming offered by CALS, Head Start, Family Literacy, Little Explorers, Literacy and Numeracy Enrichment, and Breakfast Club. So please let me know if any additional information is required, and thank you for your consideration. Dee Palachuk, Executive Director, the Community Association for Lasting Success.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on the letter from CALS? So we could wait until October 26th at our organizational meeting and move on there if you'd like. Okay, no other comments? Okay. Next up, we have a request from Lakeland Respiratory for a proclamation, and it's Respiratory Therapy Week. Whereas, am I unmuted? Yes, I am. Whereas the Canadian Society of Respiratory Therapists celebrates Respiratory Therapy Week annually. And whereas this year more than ever, our communities are relying on respiratory therapists as frontline workers. They have been tirelessly providing care to those infected by COVID-19. They have also played important roles behind the front lines, advising government, mobilizing supplies, designing pandemic ventilators to best function under parameters of this new highly contagious. And whereas during Respiratory Therapy Week, respiratory therapists engage in advocacy, promotion, and celebratory activities in our community. And whereas this celebration serves to educate the public about the variety roles and responsibilities of respiratory therapists and to raise awareness of the significant contributions they make across our healthcare system. Therefore, I, Mayor Tim McPhee, by and with the advice and consent of the Council of the Town of Vegreville, do hereby proclaim October 25th to 31st, 2020, Respiratory Therapy Week in the Town of Vegreville. Well, I think that they've had a very challenging year, these therapists, and I think it's a worthwhile claim. As this is the first time we've had this proclamation in the Town of Vegreville, I'm sure. Is that correct? So, what do you guys think? You want to go ahead? Councilor Barry?
I would certainly support it. Personally, because I have COPD, it's a service that I use and need, and I think that they're really great, and I think that it's a very important service to the public.
Let me ask this question. Is anybody against this us making this proclamation? Well said. Thank you.
I just have two items that I wanted to bring forward. And the first one is a little bit based upon a discussion that we had the other week. I had a few residents reach out to me. This came after our discussion about masks through the community. I had a few residents reach out to me that said that they've been told by staff members, possibly of different businesses, that they cannot have a mask policy because the town doesn't have one. And I just thought maybe it's an opportunity to be able to come on to anybody who's listening to clarify the fact that any business is allowed to have a policy. They are allowed to enforce it. And please, Cliff, if I'm wrong on any of this, correct me, but that they are allowed to have a policy, allowed to enforce it. It doesn't matter whether the town had one. And if the town did have a town-wide mask policy, that wouldn't automatically help with any level of enforcement within the business. Would you say that that is accurate?
I did have a phone call from a resident on Friday that was concerned that one of the local businesses in town that corporately require masks to be worn within their premises, and customers were going in and were without wearing masks, and a very defiant attitude by the customers, like, I don't have to wear a mask, and just walked right into the store. When the resident phoned me, I had said that that's their corporate policy if they wish to enforce it, but the town overall does not have a bylaw regarding the wearing of masks. So it's strictly voluntary within town.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing to know. I mean, unfortunately, if a business wants to enforce it, they in some cases may need to do that through security. I understand resources aren't necessarily there. But if there was a town bylaw, they would still need to enforce it by some means because we wouldn't be enforcing it for them. So I think that's an important thing to know. But there was some misconception that a business is not allowed to have it, but a business can have any policy that they wish for entering the business. So I wanted to bring that one forward. The other one was just more of a question. I had a couple people reach out to ask if there's going to be any additional days where there might be some enhanced pickup for fall debris and garden debris. So that was my other question.
Dale, do we typically have any special days for larger items, garden stuff, or now that we have our recycling bins in the alley, that's our norm now?
Yeah, the norm is to use the compost bins. We know that in early more frequent because of more grass, obviously, and in the fall we ramp up the pickups as well to accommodate the bins that are out there. But it's still to put them in the bin, and I mean, on one evening you can have 2 gardens empty out and fill the bin. So we're not opposed to the residents giving us a quick call at 3439 and just let us know that it's full, and we'll make arrangements to come pick it up for sure. You're welcome.
Okay, Councilor Ward, just through to your first question. We could encourage people to respect individual businesses in our community that are asking people to wear a mask within their business. I know myself personally, I've witnessed something last Thursday at Walmart, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
2 men, and what they were saying to the lady at the front about their mask. And when they were approached later, they were asked to leave the store, and it didn't go good.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see.
It was very unfortunate. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. I can tell you that I've never seen these 2 gentlemen in my life. And I hope that I never do again. But again, we can always encourage our residents to respect the businesses that are asking them. I mean, and
particularly the employees too, because even in a case of like Walmart, it wasn't even necessarily a decision, of course, of the local, it's corporate. So, I mean, I just hope everybody remembers that when these employees have no choice but to ask those things of you. So hopefully we're being respectful to the employees.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Barry.
Yeah, I haven't really had any major concerns brought to me, but I haven't been in contact with corn maze a lot of the time. I just wanted to say that I think, again, the community has really come forward on the weekends in promoting the corn maze, and we've had really great turnouts. On the weekend, between the Saturday and the Sunday, we had over 1,100 visitors to the corn maze. Nearly 700 on the first day and over 400 the second day, even though there's a tad of drizzle. And The comments we're getting are very positive for the community and the surrounding areas. I know that there are those people who are coming here and spending the night and doing other tours and looking at other things in the area. So I think that it's a very positive, and the groups that are coming out to volunteer are doing a fabulous job of working out there and keeping it running extremely smooth. So I just like to send out kudos to all of those who have been volunteering and coming out, and all those who will come out in the next 2 weeks. It's been really great. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Roger.
I just have a couple of items. I've been asked by a few people what the expected completion date for the infrastructure projects will be. So I wondered if I could ask our infrastructure manager what those guesstimated dates will be.
I was going to do that for the director's highlights, but I
Oh.
can certainly do it now.
Well, we can wait.
Okay, sure.
We'll wait till your update. The second item I've had is we can't let our guard down for COVID. There has been a case identified for an employee working at one of the seniors facilities in Vegreville. Of course, this won't be counted in the Vegreville counts because this employee is from out of town. So we can't let our guard down because it is in the area. An update on that. And then I also want to mention that I want to give kudos to the Councillor Barry and everyone who was involved with the Vegreville Corn Maze. I had the opportunity to take part in that this weekend with my 3 grandsons, and it was just a fantastic opportunity. They came home with shoefuls of straw all over the house. So it was just a great opportunity for them to be able to spend time outside, and what a great thing that Vegreville has. The Corn Maze has been such well responded. So kudos to everyone involved.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Rudick.
So I guess to go back to the dog bylaw proposed changes, that's come back again. In fact, I had a call today from somebody that heard that the city of Edmonton is making, or one of the developers in the new areas of the city are developing dog parks. And because of that, they're more responsive to their citizens than we are. And I said, again, these proposed changes are not as significant as it might appear. So I think it would be wise for us to maybe do the counter, maybe a little bit more information to provide the accurate dissemination of information so that people truly understand what's actually happening. So that was brought up. Concern about the repair of some of the lawn areas for people in the Capital Works area. So I know that that is part of the Capital Works overall bid, is to restore the original condition of the yard. So I believe that's already underway, or shall be when that's part of the process. Maybe you can explain that, Dale.
Yes, we have to watch when we say restore to original, because that's not what we do. We will, if they're placement behind sidewalks or new sidewalk installations, then we will landscape with some black dirt and seed and water, and hope that the residents participate in the next season of helping it grow and become part of the rest of their lawn.
Okay, that clarification is important, so that's good to know. And then the last question that came up in our economic development meeting a few times is, as we're trying to drive businesses and individuals to move to the community, do we have an entity like the Welcome Wagon? And I'm not certain that we had a clear answer anymore. I don't believe that there is anymore. And that came up a few times because we've got several members of our board that are outside of the community and actually outside of the province. So that came up as a query. So I'm not sure if that can get passed along to anybody that's part of that original group. I believe it was Shirley Pruce originally, and I don't know that anybody else is doing that anymore. So just a general query.
Go ahead, Councilor Rowe.
I will bring this, just a quick conversation about with FCSS, because there was some talk about Welcome Wagon and some of how it transitioned. So I'm just going to check what they have going, and then I'll let you know what I find out. Okay.
Hey, thank you, Councilor Waters.
Okay, I'm going to start with the Rotary Bike and Skate Park. We had a meeting, an executive meeting last week, and we decided we're going to hold that over, postpone it to next year with the economic times. Grants are hard to come by right now because we have to have X amount of dollars in the bank in order to qualify for grants. And the chair of that committee is moving away. So now we have to find another passionate chair for that. So that'll be held off for a year, but still, if you want to know more about it, do contact a Rotarian. A lot of positive comments from some of our walkers with the 2 crossings. Very happy, very nice, very bright. So that is super. Thank you for getting that going, Dale. And as a Rotarian, it's been a busy Rotary week. I volunteered at the Corn Maze and it was phenomenal. I worked both parking and ticket sales, so I was there all day. And people were coming from Provost, Camrose, St. Albert, Stony Plain, Drumheller. They're making a day of it. They took in the haunted hike before or after, and the Corn Maze as well. Fantastic turnout, and that was the busier day, was the Saturday, so that was super. I believe Karen Najelski from, what is she called? 365 Alberta. Is that what it's called? Yeah. Did a video, and she tagged me in it on Facebook, and it was about 10 minutes long or something like that, but it was really well done. She advertised for Vegreville, advocated 100%, did some interviews. Len was on it quite a bit, which was great, and some of the other volunteers too, showcased Vegreville at the Corn Maze and what we had to offer there. And then I was too exhausted to cook, so I tried to find a place for supper, and let me tell you, those restaurants were full. My meal took an extra hour, but it was worth it. But so it was great to the volunteers putting that together. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Councilor Lemko.
Your Worship, I too have been involved somewhat with the Corn Maze, in the capacity there. But what I want to add is that the Corn Maze itself was a project that started with the brainchild of 3 individuals, Len Bullock, Councillor Berry, and Darcy Linsevich. And to where it's come today is exceptional. The whole community is behind this. We've had people coming back each weekend to participate again. And this is done well for us. Put us on the map. Even those people who aren't able to come know that we exist. And the business community is seeing the benefits of these people traveling from outside. And we've teamed up with Haunted Hike, built that relationship, and it's working quite well. This coming weekend is another themed weekend. This one is Harvest, Thanksgiving weekend. The Vegreville Pysanka Market is coming there, and there'll be anywhere from 13, possibly 15 vendors selling their wares. And we have the pony rides, the Hitchmasters wagon rides. And this weekend is the fundraiser, you come and volunteer there, your hours will be go towards the Vegreville Food Bank, and we're asking people to bring a donation for the food bank. So again, the benefit is far reaching as we advertise for this. And kudos to everybody who comes and supports us and spends time out there. It's exhilarating to see children smiling and laughing and running around, and it's awesome. I have some questions regarding, and this might go to you, Dale. Do you know when the bridge on 857 is opening? As people are chomping at the bridge. I don't know why they want to go across that bridge. It's probably because they haven't for a long time. But so if you can bring that up in your report, if you know. Also, I noticed at the train station has got a new occupant now. Is it? When I drove by there last night, the lights were flashing off and on, and there's a big sign there that said Bingo Bango Bongo or Bing Bang Bong home? Is that where they've moved to?
That's correct. Big Man moved to the train station. Yeah.
Okay, I just was curious as I seen a big sign there. So, and just this one would be for Phil. The fire services study project that the county's doing, has there been any movement on that from our perspective, what that means to us in any way?
The report has been completed, and my understanding is that they will be getting the full paper copy sometime this week at the county, and that will be shared with us probably early next week.
Thank you. That's my report, Your Worship.
Great, thank you very much. So basically, I want to congratulate everybody in the Corn Maze Committee and all the volunteers. I've not heard one negative comment regarding social distancing or anything at the event. I was down there the first Saturday, and that wasn't only 100 people on site then, but everybody was being very respectful of each other. So I would imagine if there was any complaints, I would have heard about it by now. Regarding our last council meeting, and we talked about the mask bylaw and stuff, got a lot of positive feedback and only 2 negatives, so which was good. And again, I appreciate people expressing their opinion, if I agree with them or not. Everybody has the right to express their opinion. So right now I have nothing else that I'd like to discuss. So we will move to the director's highlights. So go ahead, Mr. Phil Rowe.
Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, I would like to give an update, year-to-date stats from municipal enforcement. For community standards, notices issued to date have been 298. So 278 on property maintenance and 20 of snow removal. Notices requiring enforcement and maintenance were 26. So that was, we went in and did work to rectify the problem. We, to date, recovered costs are $20,370. Our municipal enforcement officers have issued 60 tickets to date, and that's $10,000 in fine revenue. Dog bylaw complaints, there's been 22 complaints, 19 have been concluded, 13 tickets have been issued for fines of $1,000 and $1,075. Prairie Tales Animal Rescue Society, some stats. 32 dogs have been taken to the shelter, 27 have been claimed by owners, 5 have been adopted. 82 cats have been taken to the shelter, 6 claimed by owner, 3 have been euthanized to help due to health reasons. 20 are in foster homes right now through PTARS. Cats adopted out to farm homes are 14, and 39 cats have been adopted. I'm one of them. Total municipal enforcement inquiries so far to date, 988 calls have been taken at the office for calls for service. So just wanted to give everybody a brief update on some of the numbers. In terms of bylaw complaints, myself, in conjunction with our communications coordinator and the bylaw officers, we have generated an online bylaw reporting or complaint form. This form is on our website. I will forward this to town council, and it'll also be communicated to the public. So all bylaw complaints in the community can be forwarded on this form. And I know it's brought forth by a lot of councillors at these meetings, but I would ask if council receives any complaints to ask if this form has been completed online. This will go directly to myself and all the municipal enforcement staff, and that we'll be able to track every complaint that comes in. So if a complaint comes in via this form, I can track it. And if nothing has been done, then you certainly speak to me about it after if nothing has been done as a result of it, then I can look back and I can see that making sure that action is taken on any complaints. I am not just me, the emergency management team for the town of Vegreville is currently working with the county of Minburn, the village of Industry and Manville on developing a joint emergency preparedness bylaw and an emergency preparedness plan. It's a part of a grant that the county has. I will keep council informed on our progress, but it's what we're looking at basically is a regional emergency preparedness plan that would work for all the municipalities within the county whom we serve. I am also working with AHS. I was contacted about potential testing sites for COVID-19. AHS will be out here Thursday. I gave them a list of potential sites from our economic development officer. So I will be meeting with them on Thursday to have a look at a few sites and see what will best work for them. FCSS is welcoming a local university student from the University of Calgary, Jasmine Massey. She'll be working with the FCSS crew on enhancing the welcoming and inclusive community strategy. Our current strategy focuses mainly on welcoming and not inclusivity. So really what makes people want to stay and live here in Vegreville. And that's everything from spiritual groups, ethnic groups, seniors, youth, persons with disability, the LGBTQ community, looking at overall, and that kind of comes back to what you had said for just the welcome wagon. The welcome wagon was one goal of the original welcoming inclusive communities strategy that was done in 2017, I think, or 2018, 17, early 2018. So as we've gone through that, there's basically FCSS, the library, recreation, culture, those four groups all work in terms of welcoming and inclusivity. That's the most terrible word. To bring all those together. So what Jasmine is going to do is she's going to do a community, she's going to basically build on the focus theme groups document that was done and build on that and come up with a strategy for all the community services departments for 2022 on what does it look like to be inclusive in the community as not just welcoming, but taking both and bringing them together. So just wanted to inform everybody that, and this is part of her university program. So it's no cost to us. She gets to be at home with her family and she's doing some work for FCSS. So it's part of her project for her final project for school. And I just wanted to give council a quick update on some the facility stuff, the weight room, the capacity. So this is all in conjunction with AHS. Some guidelines have been increased. So the weight room can be increased to 4 people now. The cardio increased to 6 people. The hot tub and the sauna will now be able to be opened as a part of the swimming pool operations, and they have guidance documents specifically around that. There'll be 3 people max in the hot tub. And they can only go in if they've booked lane swim. So it's not like you can just come in just to use the hot tub. It's a part, it has to be a part of swimming or aquasizes, the other programs. 2 people in the sauna at any given time. And I just wanted to update that the community has been absolutely fantastic at the physical distancing guidelines in all our facilities in the relaunch, from the minor hockey, figure skating, the pool. Everybody's been really, has been really good. The masks has not been an issue in our facilities. People are using them. So kudos to our community for really stepping up and following those guidelines and obeying. It's been quite easy on the management and staff. So That is my report, Your Worship.
Hey, thank you, Phil. Was there any special rules regarding the sauna or the hot tub from Alberta Health Services?
Yes, there is. I just don't have them with me because I just got this before lunch. So I haven't had a chance to, all I know is the numbers, 3 max in a hot tub, and that's based on our size, and same as the sauna, there's only 2 allowed. So I will definitely get what the updated guidelines are from facilities manager, and I will forward them off if you require.
Well, you would think the 2 people in the sauna would have to be from the same bubble group or at least the same cohorts. I mean, that just wouldn't make a lot of sense to me for Alberta Health to say, yeah, with 2 strangers in the sauna. Go ahead, Councilor Borwa.
I foresee that you will have several changes and challenges upcoming in this, only because, and this is a frustration I have being part of one of the organizations, is there's been ongoing contradiction and changes to the regulations, not from our town standpoint, but from a provincial standpoint. And interestingly enough, the cohort thing is a very difficult animal to maneuver around, especially since originally the suggestions were that you were to have, say, in sporting events, have 1 cohort, which is what the recommendation was, and that has already changed. And the wording now, according to the province, is recommended limited cohorts. So in the world of all of us, we need to recognize that means do what you want. And that's what you deal with, because it's only a recommendation and it says limited, which does not actually give you a number. So it's going to just be very important for us to always be very clear. Obviously, we have the ability to set regulations that we need to, but people are going to push back on our cohorts very strongly because in my opinion, there isn't a very clear definition provincially. So it's going to be a challenge. I'm just saying that we have seen things that have changed literally almost every single day. I've seen where an announcement has gone out in regards to safety protocol, and before the week is out, there's an updated version, and quite often they're very, very dramatically different. So I just pursue we're going to be talking about this a lot because I think it's going to change almost daily.
I do have some concerns about being sheep and following whatever we're told to do, our recommendations from Alberta Health. I think I would put a little more restrictions on the sauna about what 2 are allowed in there. I just don't really feel that that's well thought out by Alberta Health. I mean, I haven't seen the regulations, so I don't know. But maybe we just hold back a little bit on the hot tub and the sauna until we can all get our head wrapped around that a little bit.
I did inform the facilities manager and recreation manager that we'll hold off till Monday until we've got more information. I wanted to make sure that council was informed and have some discussion about it today, so I'll certainly take that back to them.
Just seems a little off. I mean, what is appropriate? Do you have to wear a mask in the sauna if you're not with a cohort? I don't know. Does none of our facilities, are we instructing people to wear a mask? Obviously not in the pool. So I don't know if you could get what the recommendations from Alberta Health are and send them to us. I would actually like to see us hold back a little bit until we know exactly how that's all going to work. It seems a little, I really don't like that idea. But Councilor Rudick.
Just to go back to the AHS potential testing site for COVID in the community, they'll be in the community evaluating, because I know that the area manager had been very quick to respond to the community letter and had already moved quite quickly on that. So I just wonder, what steps do you see potentially coming forward from that they are coming to evaluate and then set up?
So they have a list of potential sites. I'm going to take them around, and they've already got some ironed down that they'd like to look at. So I will be touring with them to have a look at the potential sites, and then then that'll be up to them to make a decision on startup date and moving forward.
So through to that, Phil. They said that they would be opening one, or they are just here to appease our request and the request of one of our citizens?
They are considering opening a site, and they want to look at a couple of sites that would work for them to open up a site. That's what I was told.
They will be here when?
Thursday morning.
Okay, thank you. Dale, you're next.
Thank you, Your Worship. Michelle Henderson from the Chamber has been communicating back and forth with me in the last few minutes to assure us that every business has been notified. There's nobody opposed to this function. Some of the businesses will stay open later and some will not, but there's nobody opposed to it. So I think we're good to go. The solar crosswalks on 47th Street and 48th Street were installed. Thank you for thanking me for that, but there's staff downstairs. Brian Giles has spent a lot of time with Alberta Transportation and Bill Hislop making this happen. Kudos to the office downstairs for this. Not only did it happen at no cost to the town this time. So that was a good bonus for us. Our communications person, Caleb Brink, will be contacting the two town residents that have been requesting these crossings. And we're going to do the photo shoot and get in touch with them. And because it is a good story, it goes from a request in paper. And unfortunately, 3 years of going through some red tape and things to finally get them on the ground working. And yeah, we're excited to have them there. Remember, this started a few years ago with our prototype by Highway Registries, and it took 2.5 years for the transportation to go, because it was the first one ever put on a highway, a registered highway, that this works. This is a good alternative to $180,000 standard crossing. So we're happy to see that. Now we've got 3. And yeah, it is a good story. So we're proud of that. It's good. Capital Works. The RULAM finished pulling forms on Monday of this week. That was our slow time was about 3.5, almost 4 weeks, waiting for RULAM to get us scheduled in. They are completed now. Border is on 48th Avenue right now, shaping up the subbase prep, getting ready for pavement. Tomorrow they'll be moving to 51st, so give them a few days to do that. They may be starting to pave into this week, but if not, for sure Monday, they'll be starting to pave. And by end of next week, unless weather, rain, something happens, that is the plan. By end of next week, we should be wrapped up with the paving, and then we can focus on some of the landscaping that has been thrown down just temporarily right now in between. When the guys have half an hour here and there, they'll go grab some black dirt and lay it down, the construction guys, but we're not finished with that just yet. So the progress is hoping by the end of next week we'll be done the main things that can open up some roads and get things flowing back to normal. The 857 Bridge project, which is an Alberta transportation project within the county of Minburn, so it doesn't have a lot to do with us, except that we're detouring a lot of traffic down Maple Street. For this, I checked with Alberta Transportation yesterday, and they confirmed that we are very much on target for the October 31st deadline. That's what I was told.
Yeah, and what was the procedure on Maple Street when this bridge is opened on the Bruce Road? What can we expect for the road that was beat up with this heavy traffic? What is the responsibility of Alberta Transportation?
We have been dealing with ISL, who's the engineering firm that represents Alberta Transportation. So when they came on board at the project start, they took our detour and they did some spot repairs here and there. And then they've done an overlay. There is areas of 60th now that are failing. 2 areas that are very noticeable. We're working with ISL on that project now. They want to repair those 2 areas and they feel that's sufficient. We did take a pavement quality index testing system through MPE in probably June. is when we had it done. So we have data there that shows the base of the condition of the base. And then we had it done just this spring again. So we can see anything has been failing from then till now. Could show areas that need to be repaired. And as you can appreciate, we are certainly in discussion with ISL because we want something and they feel it's adequate with 2 repairs. So we're working on that now.
To move forward with that, Dale, I drove out there again the other day and there's some big whoop-de-whoops that are appearing there. And I would imagine when the frost comes out of the ground next spring, it's going to be a heck of a lot worse. So do your best not to sign off on anything there until we get what we need and where we get that road back to where it was.
Yep, you and I both know how this goes. That will be all.
Anybody have any questions of Dale on anything else regarding his job? Okay. Did you guys all know today's Dale's birthday? Okay, well, happy birthday, Dale.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Cliff, you're up next.
Okay, as the Economic Development Manager had mentioned, we had a meeting with Innotech Alberta. It was our first preliminary meeting to discuss hosting a hemp workshop for producers here in sometime in November. So Innotech is fully on board to work with us on this venture. Last week, we had a leadership learning session held with the directors and department managers, and we discussed how COVID has impacted the town operations, both on an interim and permanent basis. Like, what are some of the changes? Well, first of all, what happened? How did we manage? How did we work through things? And then what permanent things have we done? So it was a very good and very interesting discussions to hear from the different managers. Of course, budget meetings and discussions have been a priority with senior leadership these past few weeks. On October 20th, we have a legislative committee meeting, but I would ask, we'll send a meeting invite out, but I would ask that we've been requested to have a fire drill in the town administration building that would include council, because should a fire ever break out here, then council would have to know what the procedure and what the practice is. So we're going to schedule it for 1:45 on October 20th. So that's prior to the legislative committee meeting, because it's hard to have it during the meeting because of the live stream. Okay. So, and like I said, the intention is to include council during the drill. I will be on vacation from October 9 through 16. Paul Casey will be back in the office on right after Thanksgiving. So that's my report.
I would suggest that during or after the fire drill, that we all come back and nobody try to slide off or behind the buses and take off for the day. Okay. Okay, so that's the meeting portion of today's meeting. We do have 2 topics to discuss in closed session. One is harmful to economic interest of others and public body, and the other is internal government relations. So I take a motion now to go into closed session. Councilor Riddick, thank you. All in favor? Carried.